Chapter 947. Logically speaking, the first thing the little devil must have asked his mother after they met should have been his father's whereabouts. Hence, nameless Nya couldn't help but worry. Yi Wanwan wasn't able to adequately explain. Nya Tang Xiao, no. Nameless Nya was surprised. You didn't ask your mom? In the past, the little devil kept asking where his parents were. They couldn't find his mother, but the issue of his father was even more problematic. They didn't even know who he was, and the only person who knew where his father was his mother. So, he thought the little devil would have definitely asked his mother the moment he met her. Nya Tang Xiao, mommy will tell me when she wants to. Nameless Nya's face was covered in tears when he heard that. There's quite a bias in how you treat me, huh? Previously, he was as destructive as the howling wind and torrential rain, but now he was so gentle and caring towards his mother. I'm your mother's blood brother. Could you at least give me some face? Spray of Flowers immediately said, right. Boss is right, what if his mother doesn't know who his father is either? It would be really awkward if he asked. Devotee, boss is more thorough and attentive. Brick-moving foreigner, boss is extremely talented, educated and scholarly. He strategizes and can plan for victory from 1,000 miles away. Iceberg man, nameless Nya took a deep breath, resisted the urge to beat them all up and disband the team. He turned to the little devil and asked, then, when are you planning to go back? Nya Tang Xiao's gaze was cold. Go back. Nameless Nya, great. Looks like he didn't consider this before and doesn't have any intention of returning at all. Nya Tang Xiao glanced in the direction of the kitchen and said plainly, I'll go wherever mommy goes. I'm **wed. We can't take this child back anymore. Their original plan was to let the mother and son meet up to calm the little devil down. After that, they would come up with an excuse that his mother had to stay in the country for the time being and make him head home first. But judging by the little devil's attitude right now, he had to quickly find his real parents if he wanted to bring the little devil home. The little devil had been away from home for so long, how was he going to explain to the Empress Dowager back at home, huh? Nameless Nya was on edge. At that moment, Yi Wanwan returned with some beverages. Nameless Nya rushed over quickly. Famous Yi, I need a favor from you. Yi Wanwan was on guard instantly. What is it this time? Nameless Nya rubbed his hands. Don't worry, I just wanted to make a death exemption medal. What on earth is a death exemption medal? Yi Wanwan was at a loss. What I mean is, could you help me take a photo of Tang Tang and send it to me? Nameless Nya requested. Yi Wanwan looked at him and didn't know what to say. It's just a photo, why don't you do it yourself? Nameless Nya, I don't dare. Yi Wanwan didn't want to embarrass him any further, so she walked towards the coffee table and placed the beverages down. Then she took out her phone and looked at the little fella on the sofa. Tang Tang, you look really cute in this outfit. Can mommy take a photo of you? Nya Tang Xiao looked at Yi Wanwan's phone. Sure, mommy. Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin. Hold on, let mommy decide which pose is cuter. Oh right. This one. Yi Wanwan shoved her phone toward Nameless Nya and put her arms together to form a heart shape. Come on, do what mommy is doing and face the camera. Chapter 948. The little fella learned very quickly and executed a perfect heart pose. Yes, that's the way. Yi Wanwan hurriedly grabbed the phone from Nameless Nya and took a photo of Tang Tang's adorable look. Nameless Nya, Spray of Flowers, Devotee, Brick-moving foreigner, Iceberg man, they actually lived to see the little devil acting cute in their lifetimes. After the photo was taken, Nya Tang Xiao pursed his lips and looked at Yi Wanwan with bright eyes. When Yi Wanwan, who was admiring the cute photo, noticed the little fella's gaze, she looked up. What is it, Tang Tang? The little fella shook his head and didn't say anything. Yi Wanwan thought about it, then tried probing. Oh, would you like a photo with mommy? The little fella's eyes lit up immediately. Yi Wanwan giggled. Come over. She then handed the phone to Nameless Nya and said, Go Ji, help us take a photo together. Nameless Nya was stunned when he heard that and froze. Yuanwan called out again, hey. What's the matter? Yuanwan was panicking inside. Hey, could you please act more professional? Why did you freeze when it's time for you to perform? Nameless Nya returned to his senses after some time and took the phone. Yuanwan heaved a sigh of relief. She held Tang Tang and looked into the camera along with him. Then the mother and son raised one arm each and raised them over their heads, forming a heart shape. She seemed to have returned from a formal event. She hadn't even removed her makeup or changed her clothes and was wearing a long, sky blue skirt. Her makeup was light, and she had an air of gracefulness and nobility about her. How could my sister be so ladylike and elegant? Are you done? Yuanwan rushed him. Done. Nameless Nya cleared his thoughts along with the strange feelings he suddenly had and took the photo. After Nameless Nya made sure the little devil looked fine and had taken the death exemption medal, he left in a flash. After they left the little house of Rose. As they watched their own captain walking straight into a tree, the four others were stupefied. A second before he knocked into the tree, Nameless Nya instinctively stopped in his tracks and avoided crashing right into it. He rubbed his chin and seemed to be in deep thought. This was the very first time their captain had such a profound expression on his face, and the expressions on their faces were indescribable. Spray of Flowers couldn't help but probe. Captain, what's on your mind? Nameless Nya mumbled, do you guys think, Spray of Flowers, think what? Nameless Nya rubbed his chin. Do you guys think famous you might be my younger sister? Spray of Flowers and the devotee looked at one another, then put their heads together and started whispering. Spray of Flowers, Godly Rod, do you think Captain has lost his mind from missing his sister too much? Devotee, I think so. Spray of Flowers, do you know where Worryless Nya came from? That old freak, she was He Lien Ju's only disciple. He was a legendary chief instructor from Scarlet Flames Academy, known as the Demon King from Hell A.K. Devil Coach, and he's extremely savage. Tell me, would Worryless Nya actually wear such a ladylike dress at home and take care of a child? Devotee, if Boss Famous is the captain's sister, I'll swallow 3 caddies of shit. Spray of Flowers, I would even swallow 30 caddies. Brick-moving foreigner, I'll swallow less, 10 caddies is enough. Iceberg Man, Nameless Nya kicked all of them. Shut up, my sister is also very mo and cute, alright. 4 of them, Captain, could you please wake up? Chapter 949 Little Rose Garden. In the bedroom, Yuanwan laid in bed, unable to fall asleep. She was holding her phone while looking through Tang Tang's photos. The more I look at him, the cuter he gets. Yuanwan sat up right away and sent Siyihan a text. Your Highness, may I know when you'll be free? Meanwhile, Siyihan was attending a business function. Lately, although Yuanwan pressured him to promise he would sleep on time, he didn't stop to rest at all, and his itinerary was cut in half. Siyihan was talking to a couple higher-ups when his phone suddenly rang. He glanced at his screen and saw Yuanwan had sent a text. Siyihan replied with 3 words, what is it? Yuanwan replied within seconds, if you're free, let's have a baby. Cough. Siyihan choked on his wine. Sui quickly rushed over and asked nervously, Master, are you okay? He had never seen Siyihan lose himself in public. What happened exactly? Siyihan raised his hand, indicating he was fine. He headed to the little garden at the back of the ballroom and gave Yuanwan a call. Yuanwan answered very quickly, why did you call? Siyihan, what did you mean just now? Yuanwan laughed. Ha, nothing. I just felt quite bored all of a sudden. Bored? So, you want to have a baby for fun? He was almost used to the way her brain worked. A tinge of helplessness appeared in Siyihan's eyes. I'll be back the day after tomorrow. Ah. So soon? Yuanwan blurted out in surprise. What sort of person was Siyihan? He obviously noticed the change in Yi Wanwan's tone, so he replied, soon. Yi Wanwan hurriedly said, no. What I meant was that you don't have to rush at all, you must be careful with your health. It's fine if you return a little later. Si Han, is that so? Yi Wanwan had a headache. Must this guy be so sensitive? He could tell something wasn't right just by a slight change in my tone. Yi Wanwan quickly said, of course. I was just worried about you. What else could it be? Did you think I was hiding a man in the house and was afraid you would find out when you suddenly returned? Si Han, Yi Wanwan changed the subject quickly. Oh right, when you're back, isn't Mr. Mu coming over to C Corporation for an inspection? I'm already quite familiar with the etiquette, just send all the relevant documents regarding Mr. Mu to me so I can familiarize myself and make some preparations. Si Han, N. Thankfully, Si Han didn't probe further. After they hung up, Si Han looked out into the darkness like he was pondering over something. He had secretly dispatched some people to protect Yi Wanwan, but they were in charge of her safety, not monitoring. Aside from her safety, he hadn't asked them to report back and only needed to know she was safe. However, Yi Wanwan really didn't sound like her normal self just now. Even if she sounded normal, he knew she was hiding something from him for sure. Little Rose Garden, Yi Wanwan had regrets the moment she hung up. She should have just told Si Han the truth. Why didn't she have the guts to do it, making herself feel so guilty? She made it look like she had an illegitimate child behind his back. I'm so dead. Chapter 950. This sudden feeling where she didn't want Si Han to see Tang Tang seemed to have emerged from her subconsciousness. Yi Wanwan was unable to understand why she felt this way. Was it because Tang Tang resembled herself and she was afraid Si Han would misunderstand? Yi Wanwan kept thinking it over and over, but she couldn't come up with a reason. After hanging up the phone, Yi Wanwan went to the other room to see Tang Tang, worried that the little fella might not be able to sleep well in an unfamiliar environment. Yi Wanwan opened the door gently and was stunned. There was no one in bed. Yi Wanwan instantly became scared. Tang Tang. She searched around the house and couldn't find him. Finally, she saw a small silhouette on the balcony. She could only see that the little fellow was still wearing his adorable pajamas, sitting alone by himself. Yi Wanwan's heart strangely ached. Could it be that Tang Tang had spent the past 2 nights sitting there? She should have realized sooner that such a young child, who left his home and entered an unfamiliar environment, wouldn't feel at home so soon. Tang Tang, why are you sitting here? Are you having trouble sleeping? When the little fella heard Yi Wanwan's voice, he froze. Mommy's here. What is it? Are you not used to sleeping here? As Yi Wanwan asked this, she noticed the light from Nye Tang Zhao's phone that was on the round table. On the screen was a photo of a man. Yi Wanwan hadn't clearly seen the photo when the phone screen went dark by itself. She had only been able to notice the number 1 labeling the photo. What did the label mean? Could there still be a 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? Of course, at this moment, Yi Wanwan would never have guessed that this was one of the candidates Tang Tang suspected could be his dad. Yi Wanwan didn't think about it too much and instead, she rubbed the little fella's head. Mommy will sleep with you, okay? The little fella looked up and replied seriously, Mommy, I can sleep by myself. I was just thinking about some matters. Yi Wanwan laughed when she heard the little boy say seriously that he was thinking about some matters. That's not possible. If you don't sleep at night, you won't grow any taller. At that moment, Tang Tang's straight face really resembled a certain someone. Damn, am I feeling guilty? Instead of Tang Tang being my illegitimate child, he seems more like Si Han's illegitimate child, alright? Yi Wanwan directly took the little fella's small hand and returned to the house. She tucked the little fella into bed, then she laid down next to him. Baby, how about Mommy tells you a bedtime story? The little fella was lying next to his mommy. His small hands grasped the edges of his blanket and his big eyes looked like stars as he gazed at Yi Wanwan expectantly. Yuan felt as though her heart had softened into mush as she softly began. A very, very long time ago, there was a little girl. Everyone called her Little Red Riding Hood because of the really nice-looking red hood given to her by maternal grandmother. One day, Little Red Riding Hood went to deliver a cake to her grandma, but on the way there, she encountered a big gray wolf. Little Red Riding Hood had never seen such a handsome wolf, so she decided to hoodwink the wolf with her cake. Damn, she nearly told the wrong version. Yuan immediately stopped herself and quickly switched versions. Cough cough, when Little Red Riding Hood saw the wolf, a wolf she had never seen before, she didn't know about the wolf's vicious nature. Thus, she told the wolf she was going to the forest to visit her grandmother. And then, under the dim yellow light, paired with a gentle, soothing voice, the little fella slowly closed his eyes with his soft, small face pressed against his mommy's hand as he fell into a sweet slumber. Chapter 951 On the Other Side of the Ocean. At the top of a grand and prestigious building, the symbol of a black eagle was shining beneath the sunlight. In the hall, a stern-looking middle-aged woman was sitting at a table. She appeared cold and indifferent as she waited there. A brief moment later, a man in a black suit, who wiped his sweat as he respectfully strode in, said, "Madam Nya, excuse me for not going out to greet you. What brought you to visit our Black Eagle mercenary group?" The woman expressionlessly replied, "I'm ordering an S-rank warrant." His expression immediately changed when he heard that. "Madam Nya. Who are you trying to apprehend? Who could possibly have offended the Nya family to the point that Madam Nya had to come personally to request an S-rank warrant? Did the standalone island want to revolt?" The woman glanced up. "Nameless Nya." The corners of the nervous man's lips twitched. Did I mishear? The target of the warrant is her own son." Right as the man in the suit didn't know what to do, a man wearing gray robes strode in. Once the man in the suit saw him, he felt as though his lucky star had come to save him. "And Mr. Nya, the madam said she wanted an S-rank warrant for young Master Nya." The gray-robed man walked over to the woman's side and lightly coughed before he tried to dissuade her. "Madam, things might not be as bad as you think they are. Didn't Lingfeng and Lingyun already say Tang Tang is fine?" The woman didn't say anything. She only glanced coldly towards the man. The gray-robed man suddenly turned towards the man in the suit. "Didn't my wife already give you orders? What are you still dawdling here for? Go send the warrant. S-rank." The man in the suit nearly broke into tears. "Boss, oh please, that's enough." At that moment, the gray-robed man's phone started ringing. The gray-robed man carefully glanced at his phone. "Madam, it's our son calling." The woman quietly replied, "Our son." The gray-robed man immediately replied, "Cough cough, it's our unfilial son calling. I'm just going to answer to see what he has to say." He walked away some distance before lowering his voice and speaking directly into his phone. "Son, your mother just ordered an S-rank warrant for you." Nameless Nya, who was on the phone, was surprised. "Dad, tell me about something honestly, what? Am I really your child?" "You brat. At this time, you can still joke. Your father. I haven't rested a single day because of you. How could you come up with such a junk idea? How could you casually find someone to impersonate Worryless?" Nameless Nya weakly replied, "Dad, I didn't casually find someone. That girl is really good. I even have a photo here which I think can save me. I just sent it to you. Quick, show it to Mom. Once she sees it, I don't think she'll be angry at me anymore." "You think one photo can alleviate her anger? You really think that's possible? This time, even coaxing from me doesn't work." Nameless Nya went silent for a moment before he replied, "Father, do you have some kind of misunderstanding about your position in our family?" "Hey! You brat! What did you say? I dare you to say it again." Nameless Nya reminded his dad and urged him to show the photo to his mother, then hung up the phone. The man didn't have a choice and did as Nameless Nya instructed. He brought his phone over to the woman. "Madam, That brat sent a photo and said I should show you. The woman's gaze became several degrees colder. What is there to see? You tell him to immediately bring back Tang Tang. Otherwise, I have nothing to say to him. Cough cough, just look at it first. The gray-robed man opened up his phone screen. Indeed, nameless Nya had just sent over several photos to his email. Chapter 952. The man clicked the first photo. When he saw the photo, he froze. Madam. Quickly look. The woman was not in the mood at all to see some random photo, but after glancing it, her entire expression changed. She immediately snatched the phone from her husband. This is our Tang Tang. In the photo was their little darling wearing furry, cartoon pajamas. He showed a heart to the camera with a small hand. It was so cute and heartwarming. She had never seen their darling looking so cute and childlike before. The gray-robed man replied emotionally, "That's Tang Tang, all right." The woman treated the cell phone as though it was a baby as she kept looking at the photo over and over. Her face was filled with disbelief as she murmured, "It really is Tang Tang, madam, now you can rest easy. From the looks of it, he seems to be well. That brat of ours seems to have a decent caretaker this time," the man coaxed her. The woman's gaze never left the photo as she urgently asked, "Are there any other photos?" "There should be another one," the woman didn't reply and rushed to open the other photo. There was only one other photo. However, this one was a group photo. Aside from Tang Tang, there was also a young girl in the photo. The girl was sitting with Tang Tang on the sofa, happily looking at the camera while forming one heart with Tang Tang. When the woman looked at the photo, she was shocked, then her eyes began to redden. Worryless. This is worryless. The man's expression was also filled with shock, but he quickly calmed down. This should be the girl our son mentioned before, the girl he found to impersonate Worryless. After searching for their daughter throughout the years, they had been disappointed way too many times. They no longer carried any hope. The woman stared directly at the girl in the photo. But why is it that when I look at this girl, it feels like she's my Worryless? I've never had this feeling before. The man held his wife in his arms and patted her on the shoulder. If she's Worryless, there's no way we didn't find her before. Madam, you just feel this way because you miss Worryless too much. The woman closed her eyes, hiding the despair in them. The gray-robed man let out a sigh, and a streak of coldness flashed through his gaze. Honestly, no news on Worryless is actually good news. If Worryless came back, knowing the situation on that side, they definitely wouldn't sit still, then she'd fall into more danger. China, Little House of Rose. Morning of the next day. After the events of last night, Yi Wanwan originally wanted to stay home to accompany Tang Tang. However, she had the screening of A Life and Death Struggle today, so she had to work. But she also couldn't bear to leave Tang Tang alone in the house. After thinking it through, she decided to bring Tang Tang along to see the production team. Regarding her cross-dressing as a man, she already explained it to Tang Tang the night before. Originally, she thought she would have to explain a lot in order for him to understand, but Tang Tang's level of comprehension was very high. She only needed to explain a bit before he understood, and he even knew that when she was dressed as a man, he needed to team up with her by not calling her mommy. He was even more dependable than his uncle by far. This was why Yi Wanwan wasn't worried at all that bringing Tang Tang along would be inconvenient. Thus, Yi Wanwan ultimately decided she would bring Tang Tang with her. "Baby, wait in the car for mommy. Mommy forgot something." "Okay." The little fella obediently nodded. Yi Wanwan hadn't left for long before her phone, that was in the car, began ringing. Nya Tang Xiao glanced at the phone and saw the caller ID on the screen that read, "Most Beloved Darling." Chapter 953. Most Beloved Darling. When Nya Tang Xiao saw those 3 words, his little face became frozen. The phone kept ringing. The caller ID kept flashing on the phone screen. Outside the country, inside a certain suite at a luxurious hotel. Si Han was frowning as he held his phone. Every time he called Yi Wanwan, he called according to her schedule so it would be convenient for her to answer, so she should be able to answer within seconds. However, no one answered this time. Su-yi, who was standing to the side, held a big pile of documents. He asked, "Ninth Master, what is it?" Did Miss Wanwan not answer the phone? Si-yi-han didn't reply. With his hand, he pinched the space between his brows. He felt that lately, he couldn't focus and was overthinking too much. It was probably because she wasn't in his line of sight. Sui boldly replied, "Miss Wanwan has a screening today. My guess is that she headed over to the production team early, so she must be busy right now." Sui sighed inwardly. His master appeared frightening and cold to others as though nothing could affect him, but when it came to matters concerning Miss Wanwan. After waiting a while, the line appeared like it was going to automatically cut off since no one was answering the call. Si-yi-han was about to put his phone away when the call suddenly went through. However, even though the call went through, no one spoke from the other end. The screen showed the counter for the duration of the call, and the seconds began to jump up. Very quickly, 5 seconds went by and the silence dragged on. As the seconds continued to count on, Si-yi-han's gaze deepened bit by bit. Su-yi, who was still standing quietly to the side, observed as his master's expression became rather strange and filled with suspicion. What's going on? Why isn't anyone saying anything? After another few seconds, no one had said anything still. Si-yi-han glanced down at his phone's screen then expressionlessly asked, "Who are you?" Upon hearing his master's 3 words, Su-yi was shocked. Fuck. What happened? Miss Wanwan wasn't the one who answered the phone. However, Su-yi was positioned fairly close to master, but he hadn't heard the person over the phone saying anything. How did his master know the person wasn't Miss Wanwan? There was still no reply from the person over the phone after Si-yi-han asked this question. Doot doot doot. Soon after, the phone transmitted the sound of the line hanging up. Su-yi stared at the phone and took a deep breath, not daring to make a sound. How did Miss Wanwan's phone end up in someone else's hands? At that moment, Si-yi-han's phone flashed. It was a text message from Yi Wanwan's phone. Si-yi-han stared at the notification. He peered down at it then he clicked it open with his finger. "And who are you?" This message confirmed it wasn't Yi Wanwan. The atmosphere became tenser by several degrees. Si-yi-han directly replied back, "Her caller ID should answer your question." This reply. One hit KO. The caller ID was most beloved darling. Did they even need to ask who he was? Their relationship was clearly beyond friendship, and he could even be said to be the one who was most intimate with her. After Si-yi-han sent this message, there was no reply from Yi Wanwan's phone for a while. Some time passed and a reply was finally received. Inside the message was, "Yesterday night, she slept with me." Chapter 954 Bang, the sound reverberated throughout the hotel's luxury suite. The documents originally in Su-yi's hands were scattered across the floor. When he unintentionally glanced at the message on Si-yi-han's phone, Su-yi felt like he was almost scared to the point of pissing his pants. Shit! Seriously, what did I just see? Right now, someone else was in possession of Miss Wanwan's phone. That person also used Miss Wanwan's phone to send a text to his master that read, "Yesterday night, she slept together with me." Slept together. These 7 words strung together were so powerful, they were practically an epic atomic bomb. Su-yi's spirit seemed to have broken into pieces as he stiffly turned his neck to watch his master's reaction. The aura his master was exuding was extremely chilling due to his icy expression and the murderous intent in his eyes. With pacification and taming from Miss Wanwan, his master had nearly become a saint. He was neither arrogant nor angry nor impatient, but because of this new incident, everything reverted back to how it once was and the doors of hell had opened again. 9th. Ninth Master. There must be some kind of misunderstanding here. Su-yi was so scared that he couldn't even finish his sentences properly. However, Miss Wanwan's phone really was in someone else's hands this early in the morning. They even sent this kind of message without explaining things clearly. Damn. Why's it that Miss Wanwan rarely has anything going on, but when she does, she scares everyone to death? Si Han stared at the message on his phone and suddenly had flashbacks to Yi Wanwan's behavior when she was talking to him the night before. When I said I would be returning the day after. Her tone seemed as though she didn't want me to return so early. He didn't want to suspect her, but this time, his instincts told him things weren't right. Sui, book the next flight back to China. But, Sui wanted to dissuade him, but when he saw his master's expression, he immediately abandoned his idea. Yes. I'll go do that now. Outside the little house of Rose. Inside the car, Nie Tang Xiao was staring at the message. Her caller ID should answer your question. His little face tensed up as anger flashed through his dark gaze. He remained that way until he replied back with, yesterday night, she slept together with me. Only then did the little fella's expression lighten up a bit. But when he saw the sender's saved name again, he instantly pursed his lips. Baby, mommy is back. Let's head out. When Nie Tang Xiao heard Yi Wanwan's warm voice, he quickly placed the phone back. Yi Wanwan opened the car door and sat in the driver's seat, oblivious to how her phone was now located on the stand on the dashboard when it was left on her seat earlier. Due to her worries about being overly busy and not being able to take care of Tang Tang, Yi Wanwan also picked up Tang Bin and Song Chang. At this moment, the little fellow was obediently sitting in his seat like usual, so Yi Wanwan didn't notice anything off with him. The little fellow lowered his gaze to mask the distress in his eyes. He knew he shouldn't have done what he did. But it was just so infuriating. I'm clearly mommy's most beloved darling. The car continued smoothly down the road. Yi Wanwan was seated in the front, focused on driving, while in the back, the quiet Nie Tang Xiao asked, "Can I ask you two misters a question?" Tang Bin and Song Chang instantly sat upright. Tang Bin, of course. Song Chang, ask away, ask away. Nie Tang Xiao, who does mommy love the most? When the duo heard this question, they looked at each other with surprise and began to sweat. This was a life or death type of question. Chapter 955. If they had known this earlier, they would have stayed at home and gone through their monstrous training. Why did they have to answer such a terrifying question? Who did their master love the most? Was this even a question that needed asking? Although they hadn't been by their master's side for long, even they knew that the one their master loved the most must be the Si family's gorgeous family head. Who was their master? She was the beautiful Black Widow who had countless boy toys, but now, because of the head of the Si family, she gave up a huge forest of men. She came a long distance to China so they could see each other every day and have sweet, romantic dates. In her eyes, other men weren't even worth a single glance. That was true love. The answer was very obvious. However, the duo's instincts told them something. They absolutely could not tell the truth. Tang Bin decidedly said, the person master loves the most. That, of course, would be you, young master. Song Chang followed his lead. That's right, that's right. Aside from you, young master, who else could it be? Unfortunately, the little devil was clearly not that gullible. Is that so? Tang Bin, yes. Song Chang, yes, yes. Right as the duo began trembling in fear, the second life or death question came. Nie Tang Xiao, the person who mommy calls baby, who is that? Damn, baby. Their master would only use such an intimate title for none other than the gorgeous family head. There was no escape. The two glanced at each other, both thinking in sync. Wouldn't that be your own father? After the young master arrived, they secretly wondered several times who his real father could be. After thinking it over many times, they concluded that the family head of the Si family was most likely the father. But what if he wasn't? Their answer couldn't just be a random guess. Master, save us. In the midst of their internal begging, the car finally arrived. "We're here, you can get off." Subsequently, Yi Wanwan parked the car. The duo felt as though they were granted amnesty and they hurriedly rushed the little fella out of the car. It was all thanks to Yi and Yi Shaoan paying out of their own pockets on advertising that their A Life and Death Struggle premiere screening received so much attention. Headlines describing the incident from the night before had already been plastered all over the tabloids early in the morning. All members of the media had come to today's premiere screening without an invitation. In addition, there were also fans present, so the venue was very lively. Gong Su. Luo Chen, I love you. Yi Wanwan arrived at the same time as the main cast members, Gong Su and Luo Chen. They were literally surrounded by reporters and fans as they walked forward. Han Xianyu was following closely behind since he also played a supporting role in the film as a favor for a friend. When Han Xianyu arrived, the entire venue erupted in screams and cheers. Yi Wanwan's group was taking a different path, so they didn't rouse any attention from the media and the fans. "Come, Tang. We're going this way." Yi Wanwan held Tang's small hand. The little fella nodded and silently peered at the crowd. There were too many people at the venue, so it was too hectic and crowded. He couldn't even make out the three people that were being surrounded. The screening was taking place in a large, open field up ahead. Not far from this place was a hotel for artists and staff. Yi Wanwan first settled Tang in the break room before heading out for her scheduled activities. The main stars that day were the creative staff from the production team. Yi Mu Fan would be attending as the representative from their company. Meanwhile, Yi Wanwan only needed to appear briefly to cut the ribbon with everyone and burn a stick of incense, then she could return to the break room. Chapter 956. At that moment, inside the break room on the top floor of the hotel, the interrogation from hell continued. Tang Xiao was gazing out the window at the crowd of people below. Amongst those three, who does mommy like the most? Clearly, those three referred to Luo Chen, Gong Su, and Han Xianyu. Tang Bin and Song Chang were shivering in fear together. "Please don't ask any more. King, we beg of you, we're still just kids. We don't know anything. What's up with you two?" At that moment, Yi Wanwan, who had just finished her duties, opened the door and strode in. As a result, she noticed Tang Bin and Song Chang's expressions of fright. Nothing. The duo didn't dare snitch and obediently retreated to the side. "Mommy." When the little boy saw Yi Wanwan, he immediately jumped down from his chair and ran over, revealing a soft smile and glittering eyes. On his pink, flushed cheeks were two little dimples. "Tang Bin, Song Chang, King. When you're like this, our hearts can't take it." "Big brother," the little fella instantly changed what he was about to call her when he realized he almost addressed her incorrectly. Yi Wanwan rubbed the little fella's jade cheeks. "It's okay. When no one is around, you can call me mommy." Not only could he call her mommy, but even if he wanted the stars in the sky, she would fly up and pick them for him. About half an hour later, a herd of footsteps rang out from outside the door. The others were coming back in waves. They could see Assistant Xiao Qing and two security guards carrying in a bunch of flowers and gifts given by fans. Luo Chen was following behind, dressed in an army uniform as promotion for the series. Luo Chen was the simple type, but now he was dressed in an army lieutenant uniform with white gloves, black leather shoes, and a belt with a buckle with a shining eagle. This type of outfit really suited him. No wonder all the fans outside were screaming to the point where their voices cracked. "Yi Ji." After coming in, Luo Chen headed towards Yi Wanwan. Beside him, his assistant was carrying a box which was handed over to Yi Wanwan. "Yi Ji, this is for you to take back and try." "This is..." Yi Wanwan didn't understand. "It's for massaging. Didn't you always say your muscles were sore?" "My fans gave me a massager and I tried it. It wasn't bad, so I bought another one for you," Luo Chen replied. "Ah, grooming a considerate and understanding artist is simply too wonderful. Okay then, I'll try it. Thanks. Yu Wanwan wasn't going to be polite with him and accepted his gift directly. She patted Luo Chen on the shoulder then praised him. You look very handsome today. Luo Chen suddenly felt very shy. Thanks. Nye Tang Xiao quietly sized up Luo Chen beside Yu Wanwan. When he heard her say, "Today, you look very handsome," his expression didn't change, but his brows knit together. Yi, this is... At that moment, Luo Chen finally noticed the child beside Yu Wanwan. Oh, this is my brother's child. They didn't have time to look after him, so he's in my care for a few days. Yu Wanwan casually explained a bit then lowered her gaze to gently say to the little fella, Tang Tang, greet them. The little fella raised his head. Hello, good Ji. Hi. Luo Chen replied back with a smile. He had never seen such a beautiful child before. The child looked like he came straight out of a painting. Chapter 957 Nye Tang Xiao cocked his small head, sizing up the youth in front of him. Most beloved, darling. Could it be this person? Could it be that I was created by him and mommy? This person was truly groomed by Yu Wanwan. His potential wasn't bad and his attitude was great. Even though he was already an A-lister with countless fans, he didn't put on any airs. After finding out this was the child of Yu Wanwan's brother, Luo Chen chatted even more fondly with Nye Tang Xiao and gave him candy. Nye Tang Xiao held the candy and looked at his mommy then at Luo Chen. The pair acted very familiar and in sync with one another as they discussed their work and scripts. He fell into deep thought. At that moment, another pair of footsteps came from outside the door. It was a person wearing an elegantly retro and white, plaid suit. He was carrying a bouquet of gorgeous lavender baby's breath as he walked in. Behind him were his assistant and a man who appeared to be his manager. His assistant and manager were also carrying similar gifts and fresh flowers in their hands. The person gave off a different vibe than Luo Chen. He exuded a warm feeling of familiarity and made Nye Tang Xiao feel inspired. When Yu Wanwan saw this incoming person, she greeted him with a bit of shock. Xian Yu, you're already finished. This quickly. The reporters actually let him get away so quickly. Han Xian Yu smiled slightly as he walked over. Michum, it's finished. Thankfully, Gong Su was there. When he finished speaking, he handed the bouquet in his hands to her. Yu Wanwan glanced at the bouquet before her and blinked. These flowers were given to you by a fan. Han Xian Yu chuckled. No, I'm giving these to you. You've worked hard. Yu Wanwan suddenly clutched her heart. She never imagined she would be flirted with. Mr. Perfect. If your fans found out, they would be so jealous of me. Mr. Perfect. Nye Tang Xiao's ears perked up. Han Xian Yu quietly observed the youth in front of him and replied, the fans can only see us actors, who are at the front lines, but it's alright. We all know the effort and struggles you all go through. He knew that the incident involving Su Lin was irreversible and he had already prepared for the worst. However, he never imagined that this person could once again lead them back from the dead. Ever since he met this person kept creating miracles. No matter how bright the actors shined from the outside, this person was the team's true soul and spirit. Yu Wanwan appreciated the flowers she received. No wonder the fans call you an angel. Han Xian Yu is truly too warm-hearted. He thought of everything and was considerate. He always took care of those around him and made them feel warm and appreciated. Han Xian Yu watched Yi Bai caressing and glancing down at the lavender bouquet in his arms. The warmth in his gaze made Han Xian Yu's own heart skip a beat. He was clearly a man, yet he was more gentle than actual girls. Han Xian Yu was lost in his thoughts when suddenly, he felt a piercing gaze. After glancing around, he saw that the look came from a little boy behind Yi Bai. Han Xian Yu, Yi Bai, this is... Since when did he have a kid? Ah, this is Tang Tang. He's my friend's child. Yu Wanwan explained things the same way as she did before. Nye Tang Xiao stood beside his mommy, sizing up Han Xianyu. The caution he held towards him was 10 times that of when he observed Luo Chen. A type of flower. Chapter 958. Han Xianyu approached the little fella closely and greeted him. Tang Tang, right? Nice to meet you. Guji, nice to meet you, the little fella replied politely. Han Xianyu glanced at his manager, Fei Yang. Yang Ji, have the hotel prepare a kid's meal. Okay. Fei Yang nodded and quickly went to place the order. Yi Wan Wan, thanks. She hadn't thought of preparing a meal for Tang Tang herself. After the screening, the production team still had a company dinner. Very soon, the others were also done with their interviews. Yi Mu Fan walked in as he chatted with several workers. After entering the room, Yi Mu Fan noticed the eye-catching little boy next to Yi Wan Wan. Damn, Yi Mu Fan immediately pulled Yi Wan Wan to the side. This is the child you mentioned before? Yes. Damn. Why did you bring him here? Yi Mu Fan asked. Yi Wan Wan replied, he just arrived in this country and isn't used to everything yet. I can't rest easy if I leave him alone at home. He's only with me for a few days. He's very obedient, so he won't affect my work. Yi Mu Fan couldn't help but start to develop a headache. That isn't the point, okay? Are you seriously viewing yourself as his real mother? Aren't you overly dedicated? Yi Wan Wan, I promised I would take responsibility. Yi Mu Fan trailed off as suspicion appeared on his face. This child, Yi Wan Wan, what is it? Yi Mu Fan quieted down. This child gave off the impression that he wasn't from a regular family, and why did his facial features resemble his sister's so much? Yi Mu Fan couldn't help but speak out, why do I get the feeling that this child looks like you? Yi Wan Wan replied matter-of-factly, nonsense. That's because I look like his real mom. Otherwise, his family wouldn't have asked me to impersonate her. Not far away, Nye Tang Xiao was surrounded by employees who were trying to offer him candy. He glanced over at Yi Mu Fan and his expression warmed up a bit. It was at this moment that an enthusiastic voice erupted from the door, Mina-san. I'm back. Accompanying the exhilarated voice was a silhouette of bright yellow person skipping in. Gong Su's outfit today was very hard to explain with words. The guy was wearing a pair of ripped jeans with a bright yellow fur jacket. The jacket was from a top brand that mainly designed products for the runway. Although it was very popular, not many celebrities dared to wear it. Because wearing it made them look like small yellow chickens. They would look both terrifying and plump. It would simply be a disaster. There was once a daring singer who wore it once and as a result, he became a joke to everyone on the internet. Gong Su actually wore the yellow chicken jacket paired with an even more frightening black fishnet top underneath, but even though he was dressed like this, he exuded sexiness and seductiveness. Something rotten actually became something incredible. Ha ha ha, yi. Aren't I a handsome and cunning chicken today? Gong Su happily swept his fringe, then like a yellow chick, he headed towards Yi Wan Wan. Before he was able to reach her, Yi Wan Wan blocked him with one hand. Calm down a bit, this guy is always so energetic while Luo Chen is too dull. Can't these two even out a little? Oh. Yi, do you not love me anymore? Aren't I your most beloved darling? A certain someone began his daily whining. This literally translates to thief chicken, but figuratively means cunning and crafty. Here, Gong Su is jokingly using a pun about his appearance. Chapter 959. Yi Wan Wan had long become accustomed to Gong Su's daily attempts of trying to be spoiled. She believed that if she dared to say no, a certain someone would endlessly whine from dusk until dawn. So Yi Wan Wan learned early on how to deal with him. Yi Wan Wan sighed. Yes. Of course you are. Su darling, your makeup is off. Quickly go fix it. When Yi Wan Wan stopped speaking, Nye Tang Xiao's pupils dilated and his little face went pale. Ah. Really? Where? As expected, Gong Su instantly stopped begging for attention now that his attention had been diverted somewhere else. Yi Wanwan let out a sigh of relief. Gong Su took out a small mirror to see his handsome reflection when he abruptly made a surprised noise. Who is that little boy? Why is there a killing intent in his eyes? But not long after, Gong Su forgot his train of thought and excitedly said, "Oh. He's so good-looking. So adorable. Yi, whose kid is this?" Yi Wanwan, my brother's. When Gong Su heard that, his face was filled with admiration. "Yi, your brother, is really lucky." "What do you mean?" Yi Wanwan frowned. Gong Su immediately replied, "It said that sons resemble their mothers. This little boy is so good-looking and beautiful, so his mother must be super beautiful." Yi Wanwan nodded. "That makes sense," Gong Su murmured, "when I have a child with little candied plum, it will definitely be even cuter than him." "Yi Wanwan, you're really overthinking things, boy." Yi Wanwan's attention turned to Assistant Dong Zai and the security guard behind Gong Su. They were carrying many colorful things, so she casually asked, "What are those?" Gong Su instantly flew over protectively. My fans gave them to me. You can't lay your vicious hands on them." Luo Chen and Han Xianyu received flowers and letters while Gong Su received snacks and food. Yi Wanwan's expression darkened. "Confiscated." "No, don't." In the corner of the room, Nia Tang Xiao was watching that whiny yellow chicken hugging a bunch of snacks. Inside, he felt a mix of very complicated emotions. This can't be real. Soon, it was time for the company dinner. Since everyone knew one another, everyone felt very relaxed and they quickly began to eat happily while chatting and drinking. After Tang Tang was full from eating, he still felt troubled. Yi Wanwan arranged for someone to take him back to the room to rest. After dinner was finished, Yi Wanwan also returned to the room and saw that the little fella was leaning against the window with a blank expression. His small silhouette appeared very lonely, leaning against the window. He appeared as though he had just received a big blow. What's going on? Wasn't he just having fun earlier? Yi Wanwan hurriedly rushed over. Tang Tang. The little fella instantly looked over, and his expression lit up. Mommy, Yi Wanwan rubbed the little fella's head. What is it? Are you feeling sick? The little fella didn't reply for a moment, then he finally said, Mommy, do you like the good Ji who's wearing the yellow jacket? Yi Wanwan, do you mean Gong Su? Yi Wanwan thought about it. He was an artist who she had groomed. It was only natural that she liked him, even though Gong Su, that bastard, was a bit overbearing. He was a natural-born star and was reliable when she needed him to be. Yi Wanwan replied, that good Ji is an artist Mommy personally groomed, so of course Mommy admires and likes him. The same goes for Luo Chenji Ji and Xian Yuji Ji. The little fella predicted that Yi Wanwan would give this type of general reply and remained silent. Chapter 960. Why did Tang Tang suddenly ask me this question? Yi Wanwan felt it was rather strange and asked, What is it, Tang Tang? You don't like that yellow jacket, good Ji? The little boy's expression changed several times before he finally let out a breath. No, Tang Tang likes him a lot. As long as Mommy likes him, then I will like him as well. Yi Wanwan expressed her suspicion. Why does Tang Tang appear so burdened? After Gong Su finished eating, he felt bored, so he insisted on heading towards the bar. Yi Wanwan was with a child so she couldn't go, but she suggested that they go on without her. Gong Su was naturally not willing and instead changed the destination to a KTV place. Yi Wanwan noticed Tang Tang interested in going, so they headed over together. On the top floor of the KTV, there was only one reserved room on the top floor, which was remote and private, ensuring that outsiders couldn't barge in. Inside the reserved VIP room, Gong Su was hogging the microphone while wailing like a ghost and howling like a wolf. Yi Wanwan sat to the side while peeling almonds to give Tang Tang. The little fella sat obediently next to her. No matter how loud and full of laughter the room got, he didn't complain or move from his spot. He completely defied Yi Wanwan's expectations and knowledge of the creatures known as children. Han Xianyu casually asked, "Are this child's parents very busy?" Yi Wanwan didn't reply and the corners of her lips twitched. If they were busy, that would just be mocking this child. Where on earth could there be such irresponsible parents? Both of them had abandoned this child and went only heaven knew where. At that moment, outside the doors of the KTV, a black Cayenne had soundlessly parked outside. Su-yi hurriedly got off to open the passenger door on the opposite side. Because of his momentary carelessness, he nearly tripped. "Special Assistant Su, are you all right?" the driver asked in a panic. It's nothing," Su-yi wiped his sweat as he rushed over to open the door for his master. "How could it be nothing?" "Nothing is okay. The incident this time is too severe. Even if I'm scolded afterwards, I still need to inform Miss Wanwan first." Inside the reserved room, Yi Wanwan was chatting with Han Xianyu when her phone rang. It was an incoming call from Su-yi. Why would Su-yi call me at this hour? Yi Wanwan took her phone and told Tang Tang, "I'm going to take a call. Be obedient and don't go anywhere." Nye Tang Xiao, "Okay. Go, I'll watch him for you," Han Xianyu offered. "Thank you." Thus, Yi Wanwan went outside to take the call. As she was leaving, Gong Su immediately dropped his microphone to follow Yi Wanwan. Yi, are you going to the washroom?" "I'll come too." Yi Wanwan was speechless. "I'm taking a call." But Gong Su still tagged along. Gong Su kept following her and asked, "Yi, how come I've never seen you use the washroom?" "Yi Wanwan, why is this bastard focusing on small things like this?" Gong Su tugged on Yi Wanwan's arm. "Yi, let's go together. Yi Wanwan had a headache. "I'm taking a call." "Go by yourself, okay?" Right when Yi Wanwan was about to answer, she felt something was off. In the next second, she looked up and saw someone who would never come there. The man was wearing a black trench coat and had traveled a long distance to be there. An extremely violent storm was brewing around him. The quiet hallway suddenly became pitch dark and ice cold. Chapter 961 C. Yi Han. Yi Wanwan rubbed her eyes, believing she must have seen things wrong. Ajo. Isn't he supposed to be out of the country? Last night, he even mentioned he would be coming back tomorrow. Yi Han's gaze was focused on Yi Wanwan's arm, which was still being held by Gong Su. Gong Su shivered. He felt goosebumps all over his body. Oh. Is this Yi Ji's boyfriend? Why did he suddenly show up here? And why is he staring at me? What did I do wrong? I only grabbed her arm. How did a single look make me feel as though I'm being sliced 10,000 times? I'm only a child. I didn't do anything. Gong Su gulped and let go of Yi Wanwan's arm faster than lightning. Then he retreated 5 steps away with a swoosh. Yi. Your boyfriend came, tth then. I won't bother you too. After he finished speaking, he disappeared in fear for his life. Mother. That was so terrifying. I was almost scared to death. It's fine that Yi Ji likes men, but why did he have to find such a scary one? Isn't his taste too heavy? At that moment, Si Han walked over towards Yi Wanwan. Su-yi closed his eyes. He couldn't bear to watch anymore. He called too late and couldn't warn Miss Wanwan. Even after 2 lifetimes, Yi Wanwan had never seen Si Han looking so frightening and dangerous. He looked so mesmerizing. When Si Han was almost 3 steps away, Yi Wanwan pounced forward like an arrow, wrapped her arms around Si Han's neck, then passionately kissed him on the lips. Darling. Why did you come back so early? I really missed you. Si Han, Su-yi, Miss Wan Wan, this isn't the time for seduction. If this was the past and his master lost control of his rage, Miss Wan Wan would have already begun crying, but her present state was also good. Glancing at Yi Wan Wan's glittering eyes and excited expression, Su Yi didn't know how to react. Si Han's cold expression cracked a little. Astonishment and a bit of frustration flashed through his eyes. After a moment, the iciness started to reform. Yi Wan Wan was about to speak again when her body suddenly spun. In the next second, she was pushed against the cold wall behind her. Si Han coldly gazed at her. Is it him? Who? Yi Wan Wan looked dumbstruck. What did he mean by is it him? Si Han nearly had to use all of his self-control to suppress his rage. Let me ask you, where were you last night? Even though he was suppressing his anger, the violent storm in his eyes was really a cause of concern. Faced with such a gaze, Yi Wan Wan felt an irrational sense of guilt. Last night? Last night. I was at home, in the little house of Rose. Si Han, with who? Who were you with? When she heard this question, Yi Wan Wan instantly felt more guilty. She then remembered Si Han didn't know about Tang Tang, so could there have been a misunderstanding? Damn, I thought Si Han was returning tomorrow, so I didn't tell him. I was at home. Who else could I be with, besides myself? In Si Han's eyes, Yi Wan Wan's guilty expression took on a different meaning. Chapter 962 Su Yi, who was observing from the side, was very terrified. Originally, he thought that it was all simply a misunderstanding, but now, his heart was beating hard because Miss Wan Wan's reaction wasn't right. It couldn't possibly be real. Si Han, is that so? Si Han's gaze was cold as he showed his phone to Yi Wan Wan. Yi Wan Wan peered at Si Han's phone and widened her eyes. This message. I didn't send it. Si Han, naturally, it wasn't you. Yi Wan Wan's mind was a mess and she quickly processed the situation before finally, she seemed to realize what happened. Someone had used her phone to text Si Han. She looked at the time the text was sent. Wasn't this when I was preparing to head out this morning? The only one who could have taken my phone was Tang Tang. Damn. Yi Wan Wan tried to explain. Well, Ajio, let me explain. Last night, I wasn't alone, I actually admitted it. Shit. What direction is this conversation heading? Su Yi, who was listening at the side, couldn't remain silent and do nothing. Miss Wan Wan, don't half-explain things. You must have been with a girl, right? Things had already progressed so far, she definitely couldn't lie anymore. Yi Wan Wan lightly coughed before continuing, it wasn't a girl. It was a boy. Last night, I slept with a boy. Su Yi's chin dropped, nearly hitting the ground. Miss Wan Wan. Don't joke around anymore. Si Han stressed every word when he spoke. Yi Wan Wan, say that one more time. Right now, Si Han's expression could practically make children cry. Who is he? Si Han glared at her. Gong Su. Yi Wan Wan was dumbfounded. Huh? Gong Su. How could that be possible? As Yi Wan Wan thought that, a pair of footsteps came from behind them. Yi Wan Wan glanced at the small silhouette that appeared behind them. Yi Wan Wan quickly replied, he is the person right behind you. Si Han was speechless and stiffened up. His face went pale, then his nerves bulged out. Su Yi nearly passed out from fear and rapidly turned to look over. What? The adulterer dared to appear? Si Han's gaze turned to look in the same direction as Yi Wan Wan. But it was an empty space. No one's there. Cough cough cough, look down. Lower your gaze a bit, Yi Wan Wan coughed as she advised him. Thus, Si Han looked down, then saw the little boy standing before him. Both their gazes collided together as they looked at one another. Su Yi was tongue-tied as he stared at the little boy. What? What's happening? Could the boy Miss Wan Wan mentioned be this little boy who seems to be 4 or 5 years old. The hallway went silent and only sounds of breathing could be heard. Nye Tang Zhao's expression was more serious than ever. An eternity passed before a voice finally broke through all the silence. "Mommy!" the little boy exclaimed adorably as he looked in the direction of Yi Wanwan. His voice was like lightning that struck the stifling atmosphere. Si Yihan's pupils contracted. Su Yi widened his eyes. Damn it! What did the little boy just call Miss Wanwan? "Mo mother." Yi Wanwan silently covered her face. Fate! Are you kidding me? Chapter 963. So Miss Wanwan slept with a child. Su Yi thought the crisis had finally been averted. Who knew that in the next moment, he would hear the child call Yi Wanwan mommy? This is 100 times worse than hearing Yi Wanwan slept with a man last night. How does Miss Wanwan suddenly have a son who's so big already? Su Yi stared at the boy who called Yi Wanwan mommy as his brain tried to process everything. After Nye Tang Zhao called out, "Mommy," his gaze turned to the man standing beside his mommy. Between the two of them, one had an icy demeanor and eyes colored with shock while the other held a small jade-carved expression filled with deep thought and solemnity. Yi Wanwan looked at the older one then at the younger one. A thought surfaced in her brain. What was going through my mind that convinced me to agree to help nameless Nye? At that moment, the changes on Si Yihan's face caused her scalp to tingle. In this life-or-death situation, Yi Wanwan resolutely headed over to Tang Tang and lifted him up. She then carried him over to Si Yihan. Si Yihan looked at the girl in front of him and didn't know what she was trying to do. Yi Wanwan didn't say anything else and passed the little fella into Si Yihan's arms. Si Yihan. This is your son. Si Yihan, Nye Tang Zhao, Su Yi. What did Miss Wanwan just say? Si Yihan's iciness converted into shock and for the first time, confusion appeared on his face as he stiffly held the soft little fella in his arms. My son. Yi Wanwan quickly followed up by telling the little fella in Si Yihan's arms, Tang Tang, this is what I originally planned to tell you tomorrow, but now I'll introduce you to him. This is your dad. The little boy in Si Yihan's arms was as shocked as Si Yihan. Their expressions were in sync. Nye Tang Zhao muttered, Daddy. Yi Wanwan, yes. Correct. Si Yihan, Su Yi, may I know what happened? In a few short minutes, there were so many twists and turns that his brain was completely fried. Cough, it's not convenient to speak here. Let's head back first then talk. Ha. Ha, Yi Wanwan said as she urged them along. Let's go. She didn't dare look Si Yihan directly in the eye after telling this lie. Instead, she hurried over to walk in front and disappeared like the wind. Behind her, Si Yihan was left holding a little boy. The adult and the child were both left blinking. Si Yihan looked like he had something to say, but in the end, he could only continue carrying the child in his arms. This was likely the first time in Si Yihan's life that he held a child. His positioning looked awkward and he didn't seem to know where the arms and legs were supposed to be placed. He helplessly chased after the girl who disappeared. As he did so, Si Yihan carefully changed the way he held the child so the little fellow would feel more comfortable in his arms. Meanwhile, the little fellow was observing him. He didn't like being touched by others and the way this person was holding him was very uncomfortable. He didn't feel as comfortable as when his mommy held him. But, why don't I dislike it? Si Yihan steadily moved forward with the child in his arms. Suddenly, the child spoke up. Chapter 964. Nye Tang Zhao, are you really my daddy? For some reason, when the little fella asked this question, his voice sounded as though a burden had been lifted. Si Yihan also wanted to know the answer to this question. After leaving the KTV, Yi Wanwan made a call to Han Xianyu to thank him for helping out and then she let him know she had matters to attend to so she was leaving. She also arranged for Tang Bin and Song Chang to drive the car back before entering Si Yihan's Cayenne. Meanwhile, inside the reserved KTV room, Han Xianyu frowned as he told the others, Yi Bai has matters to attend to, so he left first. Gong Su, who had managed to sneak back in, went pale. What, he left? Oh dear, will something bad happen to Yi Ji? Han Xianyu glanced at Gong Su. What happened? Gong Su had a mournful expression as he clutched his little heart and whispered to Han Xianyu, just now, I went out with Yi Ji and I saw Yi Ji's boyfriend. Yi Bai's boyfriend? Han Xianyu murmured. Gong Su nodded. Yeah, I don't know where he suddenly came from, but he was really scary when he looked at me. He looked ready to kill. I was nearly scared to death. Han Xianyu, what exactly did you do? Gong Su instantly became mad. What do you mean, what did I do? I clearly didn't do anything, okay? Why are you looking at me like I'm a homewrecker? I only grabbed Yi Ji's arm a bit. Can I not at least do that? After saying it aloud, he still felt a bit worried. Xian Yuji, you don't understand. That man's expression was so terrifying, he looked like he was about to mass murder everyone. Will Yi Ji really be alright? Han Xianyu appeared uneasy. However, this was a matter between a couple. It was best for outsiders not to get involved, otherwise the situation would only get messier. Han Xianyu let out a helpless sigh. You know Yi Bai's situation is special. You should keep some distance from him. Gong Su replied, depressed, keep what distance? Even if Yi Ji likes men, he's not interested in me at all. Han Xianyu, at least he has some self-awareness. He really hoped Yi Bai was going to be okay. He had a feeling that man wasn't simple at all. On the other side of the KTV building. After Yi Wanwan entered the car, she took out her phone and quickly sent a text to Si Han. Once Si Han reached the car, he opened the door and placed the little fella inside. As he stood outside the car and was about to get in himself, his phone beeped to inform him of a text. He opened it and it was a text sent from Yi Wanwan. Ajio, later no matter what I say, please work with me. Please. After viewing the message, Si Han frowned. Yi Wanwan saw Si Han's expression through the window and grinded her teeth as she continued texting, Darling, can't you do this? Si Han still didn't respond. Thus, Yi Wanwan continued texting. Baby, will you do it? Beloved darling, I'm begging you. Hubby. After sending the fourth text, Yi Wanwan finally received a reply. Most beloved darling, fine. Yi Wanwan felt so relieved. After Si Han got into the car steadily began to move. The driver sat in the front with Su Yi while Yi Wanwan, Nietang Xiao, and Si Han all sat in the back. The atmosphere inside the car was very strange. Chapter 965, 965 Yi Wanwan didn't speak while the other two sitting beside her also didn't speak up. In the end, silence filled the car. The adult and child pair were both comfortable with silence. In the end, no one spoke up throughout the entire journey. The car finally reached the little house of Rose. Su Yi got out of the car and with heavy steps, he opened the passenger door then glanced at the three people before him. His master was standing with Miss Wanwan and the little boy. It was hard to believe, but the picture before him was very pleasing to the eye and even gave him the impression that they were a lovely family of three. A family of three? When he became aware of his thoughts, Su Yi suddenly became very scared. I must be going crazy. This little boy seemed to be about 4 or 5 years old and Miss Wanwan was 20 this year. If this child was really Miss Wanwan's, wouldn't that mean Miss Wanwan got pregnant while she was still underage? If that was the case, his master was such a beast. That was impossible. It was absolutely impossible. How could he have such frightening thoughts? But the child personally called Miss Wanwan Mommy, and Miss Wanwan personally said the child was 9th master's. What's going on here? Where did this child come from? Su Yi asked Tang Bin and Song Chang, who were following them in the back. The duo were very in sync as they shook their heads. If this question had to be asked, the question should be directed to the child's father, no? After returning home, Yuanwan couldn't hide it anymore. Siyihan sat on the sofa while Yuanwan brought Nie Tang Xiao opposite him and shamelessly reintroduced them. It was a bit rushed earlier, but let me officially introduce you both. Tang Tang, this is your daddy. After hearing Yuanwan's official introduction, the little fella raised his head and looked at Siyihan. Siyihan had no visible reaction. Yuanwan hurriedly hinted to Siyihan and begged him with her eyes. You said you would work with him. Don't just stay silent. Thus, under coercion from Yuanwan, Siyihan finally looked at the little fella and said, Nice to meet you. My name is Siyihan and I'm your father. Yuanwan's jaw nearly dropped to the floor. Why does this opening line sound so familiar? It's practically the same as what Tang Tang said when he first introduced himself to me. Damn. I'm about to suspect that the little fella is actually my illegitimate child with Siyihan. After Siyihan finished speaking, Yuanwan nervously glanced to see Tang Tang's reaction. The little fella pressed his lips together and after a while, he said, Mommy. Yuanwan immediately replied, Mommy's here. Does Tang Tang have any questions? Nie Tang Xiao, Mommy, you're sure he's my daddy? Is there nobody else? Siyihan, Yuanwan, he's asking. Yuanwan replied confidently, Of course. Your mommy has only ever loved one person in my life and that's your daddy. So of course you could only be born from me and your daddy. After she finished speaking, she didn't forget to glance at Siyihan. However, Tang Tang still didn't look like he believed her completely. But Mommy. Uncle said you liked a lot of people before. Yuanwan nearly choked to death on her own saliva. Damn. Nameless Nya, that bastard. How could he make a trap for his own sister? Chapter 966 His own sister disappeared and avoided this disaster and as a result, I'm the one who took the fall. Yuanwan sensed Siyihan's gaze on her and she nearly cried as she hurriedly sent him messages with her eyes. Baby, calm down. With your intelligence, you should clearly realize that this child has nothing to do with me. The person who likes a lot of people also isn't me. Yuanwan could only bitterly explain, Tang Tang, you're still young and there are still many things you don't understand. A person liking a lot of people in their youth is very normal. Yuanwan was still explaining to Tang Tang when she suddenly sensed Siyihan's frozen gaze and she could only weakly ask, What is it? Did I say something wrong? Siyihan sat back on the sofa and looked at her as he expressionlessly replied, I've only ever liked you. Yuanwan, never did she imagine that Siyihan would try to ruin her act. He said he would work with her. But, why do I feel happy that he did so? Yuanwan used up all her brain juice to reply back. That means you're very lucky. I had it worse since I had to go through so many experiences of suffering and bitterness before I could finally find you. Siyihan, Nie Tang Xiao, Yuanwan then continued on, Tang Tang, all you need to know is that you're the result of Mommy and Daddy's love. You are Daddy and Mommy's most precious treasure. The little fellow was speechless but he finally nodded. Yuanwan had been nervous for the majority of the day. But now, she had temporarily succeeded in appeasing Nie Tang Xiao. She then took the little fella upstairs to wash up and put him to bed early. She had barely been able to deal with the child, but the adult was even trickier. After Tang Tang left, Yuanwan and Siyihan were left alone in the living room. Siyihan, explain. Yuanwan, explaining will take a long time. Siyihan, then shorten it. Yuanwan, alright. Yuanwan didn't have any other option and could only tell him the most crucial points. After she finished explaining, she faced Siyihan's expression that read, You really expect me to believe you? Even Yi Mu Fan found the explanation ridiculous, much less Siyihan. But that was the truth. Yuanwan angrily huffed, I know things sound a bit far-fetched, but that's the truth. What kind of eyes are you looking at me with? Do you think I'm lying to you? You don't really think this child is my illegitimate son, right? When Si Han heard the words, illegitimate son, an abyss formed in his obscure eyes. Yi Wanwan angrily continued, please, if you think about it, you know it's impossible. I'm still a baby myself, I'm only 20, so how could I have such an old kid? Why don't you think about how this could be your illegitimate child? His personality, expression, attitude, and even his tone is exactly the same as yours. Si Han, Yi Wanwan likely sensed she went overboard and quickly changed direction. Ajo, don't be mad anymore. Tang Tang looks like me and acts like you. Just pretend he's our child and we'll take care of him for a few days, alright? The corners of Si Han's lips curved upwards. Yi Wanwan tugged on his arm, Ajo, this child is really pitiful. His mommy abandoned him and no one even knows who his daddy is. He's been with his grandparents since he was young and he's been looking for his birth parents the past few years but he still hasn't found them. To be honest, I didn't want you to pretend to be his daddy at first. Si Han stared at her. Who did you want to act as his dad? Chapter 967, 967 After Yi Wanwan noticed the dangerous intent in a certain someone's gaze, her expression darkened a little. Are you kidding me? Using you is not alright and not using you is also not alright? Living is just too hard. No, that's not it. The first person I thought of was you. Of course I wanted my boyfriend to help with this kind of thing but I was just worried you wouldn't believe me like earlier. Yi Wanwan tried to explain herself and for some reason, Si Han couldn't seem to focus and just looked at her in a daze. Yi Wanwan got goosebumps from being stared at like this. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Si Han seemed to have realized the reason, but he felt like it was impossible. He furrowed his brows as he calmed down. It's nothing. Under his breath, he muttered subconsciously, you couldn't have, huh? Yi Wanwan was confused and hadn't heard what Si Han said. I couldn't have done what? Don't talk about these things. We haven't seen each other for so long, don't you miss me? Yi Wanwan gazed at a certain someone, trying to captivate him with her looks. Right as she was about to get intimate with, absence makes the heart grow fonder, as her excuse, footsteps rang out from behind them. Mommy, Yi Wanwan instantly straightened up. Cough, Tang Tang, you finished washing up. Mommy will come sleep with you in a bit. Nya Tang Xiao, N. Si Han, who had shortened his trip with much difficulty and had to spend the night in his room alone, Yi Wanwan, Tang Tang is still young. Sleeping alone can be really scary. Si Han, no matter what happened in the past, she always rushed to sleep with him periodically. Yi Wanwan glanced at the adult then the child. Her head was spinning and finally, she came up with a solution. How about we all sleep together? I'm really too smart. Si Han, Nye Tang Xiao, the adult and the child glanced at each other and agreed silently. In the end, the three slept together on the same bed. To create the image of being a family of three, Yi Wanwan placed the little fella between her and Si Han. Yi Wanwan, Tang Tang, do you want mommy to tell you a bedtime story? Nye Tang Xiao, yes. Yi Wanwan, what does Tang Tang want to hear? Nye Tang Xiao, the story mommy told yesterday night. Si Han, Wanwan had also put him to sleep that way before. Yi Wanwan nodded. Ho ho ho, the story from yesterday night? So Little Red Riding Hood and the Big Bad Wolf? Alright, Yi Wanwan lightly coughed then began her story. Long ago, there was an adorable, young maiden. Anyone who saw her loved her and the one who loved her the most was her maternal grandmother. One time, her grandmother gave the young maiden a velvet, little red hood. From then on, the young maiden refused to wear any other hood and thus, everyone called her, Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood didn't know the wolf was a bad guy and because of this, she told the wolf that she was going to the forest to visit her grandmother. The wolf began to scheme in his heart. This little thing is young and tender. She must taste better than that old hag. I need to come up with a plan so they're both unable to escape from my grasp. When Si Han heard that, he looked at Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan hadn't noticed Si Han's gaze and continued. Grandma, why's your mouth so big and scary? Little Red Riding Hood asked. The better to eat you with. Once the wolf replied, he jumped from the bed and swallowed Little Red Riding Hood into his stomach. Si Han, Yi Wanwan told the story twice and finally, the little fella fell asleep. After letting out a sigh of relief, she finally noticed Si Han's mixed gaze. What is it? Si Han, it's not the same. Yi Wanwan, what's not the same? Si Han, the version you told me is not the same. Chapter 968, 968 Not the same. Of course they're not the same. The one I told Si Han before was something I blurted out to flirt with him. Yi Wanwan suddenly coughed. Cough cough cough. The one I told Tang Tang was the normal version. The one I told you was an amazing version because it was my own special creation. It's one of a kind, Si Han, Little Red Riding Hood eating the big bad wolf was pretty special. The little fella was like a furry animal when he moved a bit and snuggled right into Yi Wanwan's arms. His little hand tightly clung onto her sleeve as he slept peacefully. Yi Wanwan was stunned by his cuteness. Ah! So adorable. Si Han, look, isn't he so cute and adorable? In order to make Si Han accept Tang Tang, Yi Wanwan directly entered frenetic advertising mode and carefully handed the little fella over to Si Han. After the little fella was shifted into a different position, he frowned but quickly went back to sleep. Si Han relaxed as he looked at the little fella in his arms. It was hard to verbally explain the feelings that erupted from suddenly having this little boy beside him. So cute, so adorable. Ah, such an obedient and understanding child. When I saw this child before, I even thought that such a lovable little boy could only exist if we combined our genes. Say, how could his parents bear to abandon him? Yi Wanwan sighed. When Yi Wanwan said, such a lovable little boy could only exist if we combined our genes, Si Han observed the little fella beside him but made no indication of whether he agreed or not. Si Han, who came to you for help? Yi Wanwan's social network wasn't big and the few people she knew were incapable of this. Yi Wanwan's heart went sour. An idiot. But I must be even more stupid because I actually agreed to help him. Didn't I mention to you before how I found several temporary actors who could fight fairly well to act as soldiers saved by the Black Widow? I owed them a favor, so I reluctantly agreed to help. Si Han's expression turned ugly. This girl used to be afraid of everything. Merely seeing blood was enough to send her into shock, but now her guts were growing bigger than ever. It all started to change during the incident when they were in Country B. Back then, her methods of handling and dealing with matters changed. Day after day, she was changing, and now, she even adopted a child. Fortunately, he encountered even more astonishing events before and this was a seemingly small matter in comparison. Yi Wanwan continued to speak. Consider you being his daddy as a bonus that I'm giving him. When his real parents come back, I'll consider my work done and leave. But right now, let's view this as practice. Practice. Si Han's expression darkened slightly. Late at night. Yi Wanwan and the little fellow were both sleeping. The two of them were letting out peaceful breaths on this quiet night. Si Han silently observed them as they blissfully slept. There was going to be a day when they had their own child. At that moment, his cell phone vibrated. Si Han got up lightly and took his phone to the balcony. Hello. Master, Si Mingli and his people escaped overseas. We had some people following them but once they reached Europe, we suddenly lost sight of them. Si Mingli must have some other power backing him up. Chapter 969 Si Han's expression didn't change. It was as though he already expected this. If Si Mingli was working alone, he wouldn't have the balls nor would he have the capability to gather forces overseas. The person on the phone continued reporting, the person who saved Wanwan didn't come up as anything suspicious in our investigation. He should be the backup to Miss Wanwan's mercenaries. Master, what should we do about Si Mingli? The person on the phone awaited orders. Si-han went silent, then finally said, "Help me investigate a person." After hanging up, Si-han quietly stood beneath the night sky, his expression continuously changing. Before he returned to China, the Si family's internal department was a mess with endless disputes and infighting between branches. But even with the Si family's complicated branches, there was still the old madam and second elder Si Ming-rong to keep everything stabilized. They weren't at the point where the Si family was about to fall into ruin. In the shadows, there was definitely someone scheming, and this person was very familiar with the Si family. That was why, even though they never made an appearance themselves, they could use borrowed power to strike and cause the Si family's internal department to fight amongst themselves. Then they could reap the rewards without doing anything. This person's aim definitely wasn't to help Si Mingli achieve power, but rather to get benefits in the process, then eventually win over the entire Si family. If Si Yihan hadn't come back in time to take charge, the Si family would have likely become non-existent. After he returned to the Si family, the entire Si family became an impregnable fortress that no one could even touch, so they ended up using Si family's future mistress as an excuse to stir up controversy. This person must have a large connection to the Si family, and it was even possible that they could be hiding in the Si family's internal department. The next morning, when Yuan opened her eyes, she could see Tang Tang beside her and Si Yihan, who was on the far side of the bed. This adult and child duo. It's practically a feast for the eyes. If she really had such a handsome husband and son, she would definitely wake up from laughing about her own dream. Yuan was continuing to admire the beautiful scene when her phone began to ring. Nameless Nye, famous Yi. Is Tang Tang doing alright over there? Begging for a picture. Yuan, what did you say? The wind is too loud. I didn't hear anything, Nameless Nye. He clearly sent a text message. Right? Nameless Nye automatically sent a red pocket over. Yuan happily opened the red pocket and realized her mood today wasn't bad, so she took her phone and casually took a photo of Tang Tang for Nameless Nye. In the picture, the early morning sunlight was shining through the window onto Tang Tang, who was sleeping blissfully in his furry cartoon pajamas. His little head was leaning into Si Yihan's arms, and to the side, Yuan was taking a selfie with one hand while poking the little fella's dimple with the other. The photo was quickly sent over and Nameless Nye giggled as he saved it. He really admired Yuan, who dared to poke the little devil's face. But after looking at the photo in more detail, Nameless Nye thought something was strange. The person sleeping beside Tang Tang doesn't appear to be Yuan. Nameless Nye, damn. Who's the man beside Tang Tang? Although Yuan hadn't captured Si Yihan's face, Nameless Nye could naturally see that someone was sleeping beside Tang Tang, and from the body shape, he could tell it was a man. Yuan, bullshit, who could it be besides Tang Tang's daddy? Nameless Nye, huh? Tang Tang's daddy. Nameless Nye stared at his phone for a while before he finally replied back. Nameless Nye, where did you find him? How much per day? Yuan, how much your head? This is my man. He's not an actor. Chapter 970, Nameless Nye, Tang Tang believed you? Yuan, of course. You think he's as stupid as you? Nameless Nye, famous Yi, you're really too reliable. You're so much more reliable than my sister who ran away from home and that brother-in-law who doesn't even know he has a son. Yuan was speechless. Let's not talk about anyone else, okay? Your whole family isn't reliable. After finishing up on Weixin, Yuan decidedly changed Nameless Nye's nickname to Nye Hollow Pit. Meanwhile, inside an underground bar in a town in northern Europe, Nameless Nye was looking at Tang Tang's photo. After seeing that the little fella had adjusted well, he could finally let out a breath of relief. It was mainly because he received another life-saving pass. Nameless Nye immediately emailed the photo over to his father. After he sent the photo, his phone began to ring. His family personally added him on WeChat. Nameless Nye was so scared that his hand trembled. He quickly clicked accept. After his WeChat account was blocked, he hadn't been re-added, but now, the Empress Dowager herself added him back. Nameless Nya, Mom, did you see? Tang Tang is doing well over there. He's eating well and sleeping well. I told you the person I found was really reliable. That couple is really nice. Nameless Nya worked hard to type that out. After what seemed to be forever, there was finally a reply. Do you have a picture of that girl? When Nameless Nya saw his mother's reply, he was dumbfounded. She wants Yuanwan's picture. Nameless Nya thought about it and decided to ask. Mom, what do you need Miss Ye's photo for? Afterwards, Nameless Nya's phone rang and it was his family's Empress Dowager calling. He couldn't help but feel overwhelmed as he answered. Nameless Nya carefully answered the call. Hello, Mom, what is it? Don't you feel like she really resembles our Worryless? The person on the phone spoke in a haggard tone. Nameless Nya felt speechless but replied, There's a small resemblance. When I saw her for the first time, I couldn't help looking at her a few more times, but if I'm honest, aside from being prettier than our Worryless, she's not like her at all. Furthermore, Mom, I investigated this already. She's the second miss of the Yi family in Imperial City. She has parents and an older brother. She even has a decent boyfriend, so she can't be Worryless. Naturally, he also hoped to find Worryless, but he couldn't possibly just find a random person on the street who looked like his sister then pretend she was his sister. The phone went silent, then Madame Nya started to speak. Help me thank her for taking care of Tang Tang. Nameless Nya, I will. Mom, don't worry. Little sis has always run around everywhere since she was young. She never gets the short end of the stick, so she might just be having fun somewhere, and when she's had enough, she'll come back. Madame Nya let out a sigh to cover her uneasiness. Let's hope that's the case. China, Little Rose Garden. The little fella slowly opened his eyes to find himself trapped inside a stiff embrace. It wasn't the same as his mommy's and was more spacious. Perhaps it was because Si Han sensed the movement in his arms that he soon woke up. You're both awake. Yi Wan, who woke up earlier, happily said, Baby, good morning. After Yi Wan finished saying good morning, she suddenly sensed that the originally quiet atmosphere had begun to tense up. The little boy and Si Han, who had both just woken up, were both calmly staring at her. Chapter 971, 971 Yi Wan, who had finished saying, good morning, suddenly felt dumbstruck. Because the adult and child pair were both staring intently at her. It was evident Tang Tang was definitely a baby, but her nickname for Si Han was also, Baby. Yi Wan first looked at the little milk bun who had woken up. Oh, Baby is so cute. I really can't resist. Yi Wan then glanced at Si Han. God damn. A beauty who just woke up is simply too deadly. The main point here was that the pair both seemed to care about who just referred to. It's just a name, do they have to be like this? Why are they so similar even when it comes to a matter like this? After a battle ended inside her mind, Yi Wan decided to look at the cute little milk bun and gently tousled the little fella's hair. She said, Baby, good morning. Did you sleep well last night? The little fella instantly brightened up like a sunflower. His eyes filled with happiness. The little fella nuzzled his head against Yi Wan's hand, then nodded. Yes. Tang Tang slept really well. Mommy, good morning. Si Han, who watched Yi Wan choose the little milk bun without hesitation, was speechless. Right now, his greatest happiness was that this child wasn't theirs. Yesterday, his thoughts about creating a family of 3 were currently being reassessed. Baby, do you need mommy to help you dress? Yi Wan warmly asked. The little fella seemed to want to reject her offer and say he could dress himself, but after thinking about it, he nodded. Yi Wan, oh right, today you can wear the new clothes mommy bought for you. The little fella obediently agreed. Okay. Yi Wan had bought countless new clothes for Tang Tang. There were even several parent-child matching sets, so she excitedly took one of them out. The smaller version was jeans paired with a white t-shirt. On the t-shirt was a cute pink cartoon pig. Quickly come over, mommy will help you put it on. The little fella looked at the matching female version. Is mommy also going to wear it with me? Yi Wanwan laughed. Of course mommy will also wear it. The little fella revealed a small smile and cute dimples also appeared on his flushed cheeks. Waking up early in the morning and the mother-son duo painted a warm and lovely picture. As for the completely forgotten Si Han, he had pretty much witnessed what would happen in the future if they were to have children. Okay. First, go wash up then we'll have breakfast downstairs. Yi Wanwan helped the little fella put on his clothes. The little fella felt uneasy the day before, but now, he had completely recovered. His expression was filled with joy as he went to wash up before heading downstairs. After Tang Tang left, Yi Wanwan lightly coughed and looked at Si Han. Cough. Ajio, she didn't need to guess to know what Si Han's expression looked like right now. As the king of jealousy in East Asia, Si Han could even be jealous of a tiger, much less a live person. But because the target was his own son, so he resisted. Si Han, who had been banished into the cold palace, was now sitting on the bed, calmly observing her. Is something the matter? Yi Wanwan didn't know whether to cry or laugh when she saw the great devil's tsundere expression. Yi Wanwan sighed then went over to him and leaned in to tenderly kiss him on the lips. She then softly whispered, hubby, good morning. In ancient China, whenever the concubines, or even the empress, committed sins which didn't warrant the death penalty, they were typically sent into the cold palace where they were to live a life of solitude and repentance. In a modern context, this term usually refers to a person being ignored or forgotten. Chapter 972 Her warm voice that whispered, hubby, beside his ear made Si Han freeze. In the next second, a broad hand pressed against the back of the girl's head and he deepened their kiss. The little fox Yi Wanwan let out a light laugh. Now that we already have a baby, my pet name for you will also have to evolve. Are you happy with this new nickname? Si Han's reply was biting her lip, using his actions to answer her question. Yi Wanwan suddenly thought of something and excitedly got up. Ah, that's right. The parent-child sets came in threes. There's Tung Tung's, mine, and also yours. We can look like a family of three by wearing the set together. A family of three. Si Han, Yi Wanwan was pretty professional. She clearly hated anything that was troublesome and she also didn't like interacting with children. He never would have imagined that she could actually handle a child this well. It was likely only a temporary new interest. The majority of the reason for her interest in the child was probably his good looks. Yi Wanwan first turned around to change then handed Si Han's clothes to him. Yi Wanwan was wearing overalls made with the same material as the jeans Tang Tang was wearing. Inside the overalls, she was wearing the same t-shirt with the pink cartoon pig. She looked like a high schooler. Ajio, quickly put it on too. A family needs to be complete and together. Yi Wanwan excitedly pressured him. Si Han looked at the t-shirt in his hands with the pink cartoon pig. Evidently, a certain someone had never worn something so childish in his entire life. Yi Wanwan, hubby. Hubby? Si Han, and, after some time, Yi Wanwan and Si Han headed downstairs after they finished changing. When the group of 5 who were in hiding saw the matching family of 3, they were speechless. Black Widow, who was known to have countless male pets, and Si Han, who was the rumored demon family head who was disinterested in women, were actually wearing a childish parent-child matching set of clothing with their son. This scene, if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, was something they never could have imagined. Naturally, there was someone who was even more shocked than the group of 5. Su Yi, who had been worrying all night that something would happen to his master, hadn't left the little rose garden and had been awake and on call all night. He finally managed to wait it out until daylight and as a result, he witnessed this miraculous picture. What was this situation? Yi Wanwan noticed Su Yi, who was in the living room and said with surprise. Huh? Housekeeper Su, you're still here. Su-yi, I was always here, okay? Such a frightening situation happened last night. How could I have just left? Yu Wanwan saw Su-yi's expression and realized that things yesterday happened in a rush. She hadn't explained things to him clearly, so she went over and whispered everything to him. Su-yi. What? I worried all night, but the truth is that they're just taking care of someone else's child, pretending to be real parents. Even if he had a wild imagination, he never would have thought of this possibility. He could only admit defeat. Running to claim a child, how could his master so easily accept this? Su-yi dumbfoundedly looked at his master. He saw an adult and child duo wearing matching clothes, facing each other at the dinner table. Si-han was casually eating his breakfast as he gave the little fella a poached egg. They seemed so accustomed to everything. So from beginning to end, the only one who was a mess was himself. Chapter 973. After Yu Wanwan explained everything to Su-yi, she happily went over to eat breakfast. Yu Wanwan watched as Si-han got some food for Tang Tang. Although Tang Tang didn't treat Si-han like they were close, he also didn't reject Si-han and even gratefully said, "Thank you." Everything was even better than Yu Wanwan imagined, so she felt very relieved. Today, Si-han didn't have to go to work while Yu Wanwan was on break. According to the rules Yu Wanwan set before, as long as both parties had time, they had to go on a date at least once a week. But today, it seemed as though there would be another person tagging along. Yu Wanwan blinked at Si-han. Si-han, who perceived her stare, said nothing. "Please. Hubby." Yu Wanwan clearly mouthed the new pet name. Si-han expressed his helplessness towards wanting to spoil her as he looked at the little fella and asked, "Where do you want to go play?" The little fella didn't say anything and seemed to relax a bit when he looked up. "Play." Yu Wanwan immediately replied, "That's right. Today, Daddy and Mommy are free and can take you out to play." "Baby, where do you want to go?" "The zoo. The amusement park? Or do you want to go hiking?" "Anywhere you want to go is a possibility." Regarding this question, if he were any other child, he would have already happily replied back with what he wanted to do. However, Tang Tang seemed to have never thought about this, much less know how to interact with his parents, so he appeared vacant. When Yu Wanwan saw this, she felt her heart ache and she quickly continued, "How about you let Mommy decide? Let's go to the amusement park, okay?" The little fella instantly nodded. "Okay." Yu Wanwan smiled. "Then it's decided. After breakfast, we'll set out." After breakfast, the family of three drove towards the biggest amusement park in Imperial City. Today, the trio's matching cartoon outfits were very appropriate for being at this type of setting. Yu Wanwan was holding hands with the little fella. "Tang Tang, there's a lot of people here, so hold on to Daddy's and Mommy's hands." The little fella peered at the tall man beside him. Si-han gazed back and held out his hand. The little fella hesitated, but in the end, he reached out as well and held hands with Si-han. They had only arrived at the entrance when Yu Wanwan saw the beautiful cotton candy. "Whoa. HJU, whoa." Ajo, ever since Si-han started going on dates with Yu Wanwan, he had eventually improved in his understanding of social interactions. Before, he didn't know anything about it. He had Su-yi arrange some cash earlier and Yu Wanwan didn't need to ask before he knowingly took out his wallet to pay. "How many do you want?" "Yu Wanwan, it's so large so one is enough." A very colorful heart-shaped piece of cotton candy was quickly prepared for them. "Come, Tang Tang, try it." Yu Wanwan placed the cotton candy in front of Tang Tang. Tang Tang stared at the colorful unknown object with mixed feelings and tilted his head in curiosity. "This is edible." Si-han expressionlessly explained to his son, "Yes, it's cotton candy." Yu Wanwan observed this father-son duo and couldn't help but laugh. Didn't Si-han not know what cotton candy was in the beginning? Yet now he's even teaching his son. Yu Wanwan looked at Tang Tang. That's right, it's cotton candy and it's delicious. Try it. The little fella carefully took a bite and immediately brightened up as it melted in his mouth. It was sweet. Chapter 974, 974. The adult and child pair both didn't know how to have fun. Luckily, Wan Wan was there. Wow! We're actually so lucky. There's a parade today. There's also a fireworks show. Whoa! That headband is so cute. I have to buy it. Whoa! That lollipop looks delicious. I have to buy it. I also want that balloon. Wan Wan was even more excited than a child, skipping as she dragged the adult and child pair everywhere with her. She nearly bought one of everything that was available for sale. Han diligently hovered behind, guarding the mother-son pair from the crowd unless he had to go to the front to pay for Wan Wan's purchases. After a short while, Tung Tung's hands were stuffed with Wan Wan's items. In his left hand was a gigantic rainbow lollipop and in his right was a balloon. On his head, he wore cat ears and around his neck, he wore a beautiful flower wreath. Wan Wan and Han also had the same flower wreaths around their necks, but Wan Wan was wearing bunny ears while Han was wearing wolf ears and a black mask Wan Wan made him wear. They passed by a photo booth and Wan Wan dragged the father-son pair to take photos. They were such priceless treasures. Wan Wan laughed as she went through them several times before handing them over to Tang Tang. Here, Tang Tang, you take care of them. The little fella carefully accepted them, treating the photos like precious baubles as he looked at them with his big eyes. Night quickly arrived and the flower parade begun. There were more and more people present and it was becoming more crowded. Excited voices were building up in the surrounding area. Tang Tang was so small so his field of vision was quickly blocked by many people. Han glanced at the mother-son pair and handed his snacks to Wan Wan. Hold these. Huh? Oh, Wan Wan took the snacks. Afterwards, Wan Wan saw Han bending down. With one arm, he picked up Tang Tang and with his other arm, he pulled Wan Wan into his embrace, separating them from the crowd. Wan Wan blinked. She felt her heart beating like crazy. Han actually appeared so much more handsome than usual when he picked up Tang Tang. Originally, it was hard for her to imagine what having a child with Han would be like, but now, she felt that if Han really became a father, he would be pretty gentle. The sun was setting slowly and their trip to the amusement park was coming to an end. The crowd dispersed as people left. Wan Wan ran off to buy a souvenir as Han waited in place while holding Tang Tang. When it was time to go, Wan Wan watched the father-son pair and couldn't help taking out her phone to capture the moment. It was nighttime now and Han booked a reservation at a restaurant known for their private home cuisine, so the family of three left the amusement park and directly headed to the restaurant. The family of three was still wearing the same outfits from the amusement park. They had the matching outfits on and were carrying animal headbands, candy, and souvenir gifts. This private home cuisine restaurant was very famous in Imperial City. Each day, they only served 10 tables and if the average person wanted to eat a meal there, they had to book a reservation months in advance. Wan Wan, Tang Tang, and Han were heading towards the restaurant when they ran into several familiar faces. Lin Ke was chatting with Xie Zhizhi when he noticed the three of them. He felt as though someone had pressed his acupuncture points and stood there, dumbfounded as he stared at Han. What did I just see? Xie Zhizhi observed Han with interest as he looked at the printed pink pig on his clothes, then he glanced at the little milk bun holding Wan Wan's hand. He lightly laughed and then said, We just witnessed a miracle. Chapter 975, 975. Lin Ke felt as though he had been hit by lightning, then he incredulously asked, Did I transmigrate to the future? Or did I fall into a parallel dimension? Why does ninth brother have a son? This can't be right. That's not my ninth brother. How could my ninth brother be dressed like this, with that thing on his clothes? Wan Wan abruptly raised her hand to reply, That's a little pig. It's a little pig. Damn it, that's not the point, okay? Lin Kei felt even more confused. Yu Wanwan laughed as she waved to greet the two of them. I haven't seen you two in a while. Xia Zhizhi meaningfully swept his eyes over the three of them. It really has been a while. Considering you two even have a child now, Yu Wanwan's brows twitched as she processed his words. She really hadn't seen Lin Kei for a long time. As for Xia Zhizhi, she very recently saw him when Si Mingli locked her up in the dark chamber. The Si Han in her previous life had always been a lone wolf without any friends, and he didn't trust anyone, not even Su Yi. The only exceptions were Lin Kei and Xia Zhizhi, who visited Jean Garden in the past, but they only showed up a few times. She assumed they were only acquaintances from work, rather plastic friendships. Especially Xia Zhizhi, who was an artist from the entertainment industry and viewed himself as a gift from heaven for all girls on earth. No matter how she looked at him, he was too incompatible with Si Han for any kind of lasting friendship. Lin Kei was too lacking and would die without gossip, but he was versatile when it came to making connections everywhere. If Si Han and Lin Kei were close, at least that would make more sense. However, the one who came to her rescue was actually the unlikely Xia Zhizhi. Lin Kei was speechless. Please. No matter how long it's been since we've seen each other, you still couldn't have given birth to such a big child. Yu Wanwan, what are you playing at? Where did you steal this child from? When Nye Tang Xiao heard Lin Kei's words, his small face instantly darkened. Yu Wanwan instantly glared at Lin Quebec. Lin clueless, you're the one who stole a child. I gave birth to this child, alright? Lin Kei widened his dog eyes, his face full of disbelief. You gave birth? Yu Wanwan harumphed. That's right. I gave birth myself. What about it? I had him with Agio. The corners of Lin Kei's lips twitched. You're kidding me, right? Yu Wanwan continued, look at him. Besides Agio, who else could I have a child with who could produce a child this cute? You dare say he's not my child? Lin Kei carefully observed the little milk bun who was holding both their hands. You all really look like a family. The more Lin Kei said it aloud, the stranger he felt. Damn. This can't be right. Yu Wanwan, that brat, is how old? Isn't she 20 this year? Lin Kei suddenly felt speechless. You're still young. If you gave birth to him, then my 9th brother is a beast. Yu Wanwan murmured, then there can only be one truth. Lin Kei, what? Yu Wanwan, your 9th brother really is very beastly. In order to continue her act, she had to make Si Han suffer a bit. Si Han, Lin Kei was speechless for a while. I call bullshit. If anyone hears a beast, it has to be you. Yu Wanwan rolled her eyes at him. Is there a difference? I still had a child with Agio. Chapter 976. Lin Kei's eyes glittered as he looked towards Si Han. 9th brother, I want to share a table. It's such a coincidence that we ran into each other, so how about we eat together? Yu Wanwan, likely, their fake excuse of wanting to share a table was a cover-up for wanting to pry into their lives. Lin Kei's eyes already betrayed him. Si Han expressionlessly glanced at him. Not interested. Lin Kei instantly looked hurt. Don't be so stingy. The more the merrier. Xia Zhizhi lightly laughed and said to Yu Wanwan, Boss Yi, I coincidentally have some business matters to discuss with you. Clearly, Xia Zhizhi's and Lin Kei's intelligence weren't on the same level. Xia Zhizhi understood who held the power to make decisions in this family, so Yu Wanwan was directly addressed. Yu Wanwan went silent. Business matters? Although Xia Zhizhi and she both worked in the entertainment industry, that guy had a presence beyond a god. They weren't even comparable, so what business matters did he have to discuss with her? Yu Wanwan hesitated when Xia Zhizhi abruptly took out his phone. At that moment, Yu Wanwan's phone rang out. It was a message from Xia Zhizhi. She remembered that long ago, she added Xia Zhizhi on WeChat but they never chatted. After opening it, she saw that Xia Zhizhi sent her a red pocket. What's the meaning of this? Xia Zhizhi said, it's the first time meeting your son, so consider it a simple greeting gift for him. Yi Wanwan's eyes brightened. Never did she imagine that having a son would bring such great benefits. She could receive red pockets. People should learn from Xia Zhizhi. He's so understanding. Yi Wanwan clicked the red pocket open and saw the number, which made her even more pleased. Yi Wanwan, who had just been so protective of Tang Tang from those two men, suddenly changed her attitude. Tang Tang, quickly thank this uncle. Tang Tang obediently complied. Thank you, uncle. Xia Zhizhi smiled. You're welcome. Yi Wanwan, since it's like this, megastar Xia, let's dine together. Lin Ke was dumbfounded. What about me? What about me? Yi Wanwan, and who are you to my family's baby? Fuck. Lin Ke immediately took out a stack of cash after digging out what he could. Ha, it's my bad, my bad. I shouldn't have said such nonsense. This is a red pocket for my obedient nephew. Yi Wanwan raised a brow at this stupid Lin Ke who finally caught up to what was happening. That's the least you can do. Yi Wanwan looked at Si Yihan and said, Ajio, let's all dine together. The more the merrier. Si Yihan, N. Lin Ke, fuck. Why was I ignored when I said the same thing? In the end, Xia Zhizhi and Lin Ke successfully joined in on their family dinner. Yi Wanwan, Tang Tang, and Si Yihan sat together on one side as a family of three while Xia Zhizhi and Lin Ke sat opposite them. Si Yihan, what do you want to eat? Yi Wanwan, you decide. You already know what I like to eat. Thus, Si Yihan quickly ordered a few dishes then asked Tang Tang, who was seated beside him, how about you? Nye Tang Xiao looked at the two sitting on the opposite side before looking back at Si Yihan and replied, Daddy, Tang Tang can eat anything. Si Yihan relaxed a bit when he was referred to as Daddy. Ever since last night, even after playing together an entire day, Nye Tang Xiao had never once called him Daddy. This was the first time. PFFFF, when Lin Ke heard the word Daddy, he spat his lemon water out. The scene before him was simply too impossible. Chapter 977, 977. When Yi Wanwan heard the word Daddy, her little heart melted a bit. Oh my, Tang Tang finally called Si Yihan Daddy. Why do I feel so proud? As Lin Ke watched the warm and sweet atmosphere around the family of three, he began to wonder what exactly he was there for. I thought I was here for some excitement. So I could find out where this child came from. Lin Ke mainly wanted to figure this out so he tagged along, but now, he felt like he couldn't ask. He was practically on the edge of his seat. And there was an even more pressing matter. Ninth brother, how could you wear such clothing? My image of you has nearly collapsed inside my heart. Yi Wanwan wordlessly watched as Lin Ke's expression changed endlessly like a stoplight. Ninth brother, is that really your son? Lin Ke's gaze kept switching between the adult and child pair. Si Yihan coolly raised his head to glance at him. Is there a problem? Lin Ke, is there no problem? Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes at him. Ajio and I have a son. Do you really need to act so dramatically? Lin Ke was stunned by these two. Is there really no need? Learn from Xia Zhizhi, look how calm he is. Oh that's right, megastar Xia, you mentioned there was something you needed to discuss with me. Yi Wanwan couldn't be bothered with Lin Ke and instead turned to Xia Zhizhi. Xia Zhizhi put down the cup in his hand and replied, my contract with SG is going to expire soon. The contract Xia Zhizhi signed was with a company overseas. SG was one of the top 3 companies in country M. Oh, Yi Wanwan nodded. Is this related to me in any way? So when your contract expires, are you preparing to open your own company? Or did you want to move to a different one? Yi Wanwan casually asked. With Xia Zhiji's abilities, he could have become independent early on, but it didn't seem as though he intended to do that. I'm not interested in opening my own company. I plan to sign with a managerial company within China. After he said that, Xia Zhiji smiled at Yuan Wan. So how about it, Boss Yi? Won't you consider signing me? PFFFF, this time, it was Yuan Wan's turn to spit out tea. Nanny? Are you kidding? A megastar that an international top 3 managerial company wanted to sign, is asking me if I would consider signing him? I never even imagined this possibility, alright? Yuan Wan coughed non-stop. Tang Tang immediately became worried and handed her a tissue. Si Yihan patted the girl on the back then glanced at Xia Zhiji. When Xia Zhiji met Si Yihan's gaze, he looked back coquettishly. Yuan Wan finally recovered. You must be kidding, right? My establishment is still too small for a great god like you. If megastar Xia had to sign with a company within their country, he could sign with Emperor Sky Entertainment, which was directly under Yi Group, Worldwide Entertainment, or even Art Style Media. Emperor Sky Entertainment was the entertainment industry's oldest managerial company in the country. Worldwide Entertainment was the second oldest as well as the top company in the country, while it ranked in the top 3 internationally. But if he was ambitious, although Art Style Media was less famous, it was a company that worked hard to produce talented artists. As for her company, it had barely taken its first steps, so how could she sign him? Xia Zhiji lightly laughed. I'm being serious. Boss, you should think this over some more. Yuan Wan, consider my ass. He's clearly playing me. This guy can't be wanting revenge because of last time, right? Chapter 978. Last time Si Yihan suddenly spat out blood, Si Mingli gave her trouble. At that moment, Xia Zhiji brought with him the jade bracelet and ring Si Yihan showed her before to convince her to go with him. But even if it was the shocking Xia Zhiji who came for her, she naturally couldn't leave with him. However, Yuan Wan also knew that despite her stubbornness, Xia Zhiji still needed to carry out Si Yihan's orders and would forcibly take her with him. And so, under those circumstances, she had to use an underhanded method. She then told Xia Zhiji that if he forcibly took her away, if Si Yihan didn't die, she would tell Si Yihan that Xia Zhiji had a crush on her, and was actually waiting for that day, when he could elope with her. Xia Zhiji's reaction was as expected. Even though her plan was a bit far-fetched, it was effective enough to render him helpless. In the end, the results proved that it was a good plan since she scared Xia Zhiji off. Yuan Wan completely ignored Xia Zhiji and acted like he was joking and continued to eat dinner with Tang Tang. Xia Zhiji reached over for the drinks placed on the other side but clumsily tilted the bottle and spilled wine all over Si Yihan. Xia Zhiji said innocently, "Ah, my bad." Si Yihan met his gaze and gave a warning with his eyes as he looked over Xia Zhiji before standing up. I'm going to the washroom. Xia Zhiji also got up to follow him. I'll accompany you. Yuan Wan bit on her chopsticks as she watched the two of them heading towards the bathroom. Why did it feel that Xia Zhiji was doing this on purpose? At the end of the hallway where the washroom was, by the window, Si Yihan faced the devilish-looking man opposite him with impatience. Is something the matter? Xia Zhiji sighed silently from the clear rejection. So cold. Hey, you don't seriously think I have a crush on the girl, do you? Si Yihan's gaze became colder by several degrees. Xia Zhiji, even if there's a crush, it would only make sense if she's the one who has a crush on me, right? Once he finished talking, a certain someone's expression became even uglier. Xia Zhiji raised his hands in surrender. Fine, fine, I admit I didn't handle things properly last time, but I only claim 30% responsibility while your family's wife should claim the other 70%. If you really died, it would have been fine, but if you didn't die, would I still be able to live with the way she was slandering me? I had to confirm that you were really dead before I dared to take her away. Xia Zhiji spoke in a matter-of-fact tone. So, where did that child come from? He can't really be your kid, right? Xia Zhiji decided to change topics. Si Han expressionlessly replied, "We're helping someone take care of him for a few days." Xia Zhizhi lightly smiled. Seems like something she would do. Si Han heard this and his expression suddenly changed. Xia Zhizhi felt helpless. You can hide it from that clueless Lin K, but you don't really think I'm on the same level as that guy, right? To be honest, I was almost fooled in the beginning until I went to the Si family home to pick her up. This style of handling things, doing whatever the heart wants without any reservation, is clearly, Xia Zhizhi's next words died under Si Han's cold and dark gaze. Xia Zhizhi continued meaningfully, "Of course, the one who confirmed my suspicions wasn't her, but rather, you." He understood Si Han too well, so he suspected Yuan Wan from the beginning. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.